Hi, this is Brendan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and today I want to talk about another sort of fantastic martial arts movie that helped influence Wandering Heroes of Ogregate. It's Holy Flame of the Martial World. It was made in 1983, directed by Lu Chin Koo, and it's a Shaw Brothers release. Sometimes his name is Chin Kulu, so it can be done either way usually. Uh, this is a really interesting movie, a very unique movie, and a very gonzo, sort of over the top, uh, almost Flash Gordon like movie at times. I think it's wonderful. Not everybody's going to like it, so I enthusiastically recommend this film, but just know that it's a little bit outside of the box, and it does a lot of unusual things. So it might not appeal to everybody, and it's certainly not as serious as some of the other movies I've filmed in terms of the approach it's taking. So just to give a little bit of background story, I don't want to spoil the whole plot. It's basically about a husband and wife that take a weapon called the Holy Flame Sword, and I suspect this might be based loosely on Heaven's Sword and Dragon Saber, but I'm not 100% sure. If anybody knows, certainly feel free to weigh in. I tried to find out and I couldn't. But it's got a lot of similarities. But there might be another story that it's based on that also just happens to have a lot of similarities. So I'm not 100% sure on that. But to me, it looked a lot like Heaven's Sword Dragon Saber with a bunch of changes. So there's a martial couple that acquires this holy flame sword and a kind of manual, like a manual that's just like on a single sheet that instructs you on how to use it. And we find out later in the film, in truth, there's actually two holy flame swords. One is the yin sword, one is the yang sword. But anyways, this couple has two children with them that are their children, and they're attacked by everybody in the martial world who basically wants this sword. And the sects, you get every sect here, Shaolin, Wudang, all of them, but the sects are led by a really ferocious woman named Grandmaster Jing, who's the leader of Ermei sect, and she's sort of assisted, or she's helped by another sect leader named Monster Yu, who's just terrible. And so the couple manages to kind of shoo away the the other sects, but Monster Yu and Grandmaster Jing pursue them and end up murdering the couple. And as they're doing this, the Phantom, played by Philip Kwok, who also did the action choreography, shows up, and he has this wonderful maniacal ghostly laugh technique that he uses. I think in some of them it's called the laughing wind technique, depending on your dub, and it just creates this gust of wind that rips people apart. And he ends up saving one of the children, not realizing there's another, and Grandmaster Jing saves the other child. And the Phantom, vows that he's going to raise the boy up and have him murder Monster Yu and Grandmaster Jing in revenge. And so then the movie skips ahead to when the boy, and I believe the boy's name is Wan Tian Sao, but I could have that wrong. And it skips to when he's 18, and he's sent by the Phantom to go acquire the Holy Flame Sword, which will help him with his revenge and all this. And in the meantime, Monster Yu and Grandmaster Jing have sort of been preparing, for upcoming battle with the Phantom and Wan Tian Sao. So, and there's a lot of interesting developments there. I won't spoil the rest of it for you. There's a lot that kind of happens and unfolds, and it's a really great ride. I am very enthusiastic about this movie. It's a very charming film. It's got a very unique soundtrack that's partly due to the year it was made, very sort of electronic and trippy. The effects are also very 1983, but they're used so abundantly and with such confidence that you just sort of accept it and go along. This is it's much more fantastic and fantasy oriented than a lot of these other movies. So this is a little bit more like a Zoo Warriors type film, but it's a lot more insane than that, and a lot more like I said, in the realm of Flash Gordon type not zaniness, but it's just over the top, and it's filmed in I don't know the exact name of this technique. I think it's reverse crank, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's filmed so that things look like they're a little bit faster than they normally would, and that adds to the intensity of the movie and to sort of the lighter spirit that the movie really has. So just to give you sort of a rundown of some of the crazy stuff that you'll see in this, you have a blood-sucking clan that kidnaps a friend of the hero, and he has to rescue her, and they're trying to sacrifice virgin maidens to resurrect this green corpse, and they're protected by these tapestry men who are just like floating banners that come alive and attack people. At one point, the hero has to face a trigram trap where he's being attacked by green characters, like green Chinese letters that are coming at him, and there's all kinds of weird effects with neon lights and stuff like that. The woman who gets kidnapped, who starts out as a nobody, becomes this really powerful martial hero after she pricks her finger on the inside of a severed snake and is infused with its powers. So it's just it's a really gonzo movie. There's really not there's no other word that really can describe it. If this is the movie that you would have if you brought to life so many people's campaign worlds. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of a just everything is in there, and you don't know what to expect. You don't know if you're gonna. You have no idea what's coming because you know the director is pretty much willing to throw anything at you, and that's one of the great things about it. That's one of the reasons why I like it. But on top of that, the fight choreography is actually really good. And I didn't notice this the first time I watched it, but on second viewing, the fight choreography is really sound, really entertaining, fast, obviously because the film, but and that might be part of why it's so good, but also just very punchy and energetic and swift and tight. It's very tight fight choreography, I think. I've seen people complain a little bit about the lightness kung fu with the wires, but I thought they did a fine job with that given the year. I had no real complaints, and the techniques are just also manic. Everything's so intense and over the top, and all the actors are 100% committed to playing these insane characters that are just, half of them are wicked and half of them are, good martial heroes. But even the leader of the good guys is sort of a crazy man. So everything just sort of has that vibe to it, and there's a very interesting scene where the green corpse is speaking English, which you just don't expect in movies like this, and the effect it had on me was it was very creepy because the whole movie's I think in Cantonese. I don't think it's in Mandarin. I'm pretty sure it's Cantonese, and you get used to that, and then suddenly this corpse is talking English, and it's like it's speaking directly to you because of that. And I don't know if that was even the director's intent with that, because obviously it was made for a Chinese audience, but boy, that really that moment in the movie really affected me when I watched it the first time. So in terms of what stands out here for me, I think the woman who played Grandmaster Jing, I believe her name is Leanne Lau, and she is fabulous. She is really good in this role. I thought this was one of the more exceptional villains I've seen. And what's even more amazing is I think she was only in her 20s when she played this, and she's supposed to be this like really ancient woman. And they have her in like the bright white hair and the bright white eyebrows, so you know that she's supposed to be older. But I mean, you can tell she's young. You can tell she's not that old. But she really carried the character. So she really pulls it off, and she's just this really determined, ruthless villain, which is always my favorite type. Philip Kwok plays the Phantom, and he's also wonderful, and you might recognize him from the Venom movies. And he also, I think I mentioned this, but he did the fight choreography along with one other man who I'll try to put his name in the notes. So this was a really great movie. I can't recommend it enough. It is like I said, on the more gonzo side, So if if that's not your cup of tea, maybe you don't want to see it. But I'd say give it a chance. When I first saw it, the first like 2 minutes, I almost was like, I don't know, I might turn this off, just because it was a little bit. It just felt a little off. Like something was just awkward about it. But then 3 minutes in, I was hooked. And I think part of it is just the enthusiasm that the director brings to the material. He's just putting so many things in there, and he doesn't care. He's just happy to. You get the feeling that the director's happy to be doing this, and that he's engaged with the material, and that I think always sort of shines through. And just the tightness of it. It does have a lot of really weird elements to it, but everything is very tight, very well coordinated, and so I think in the end it works. And it is dated. It's very clear. You can tell this is a 1983 or at least an early 80s movie. But yeah, I can't recommend it enough. Again, it's Holy Flame of the Martial World, and it's just a really unique experience. I would liken it a little bit to like a Sam Raimi movie or Flash Gordon, just to give you sort of like a Western equivalent. It's a little hard to put your finger on, because it's kind of got that Zoo Warrior vibe, but it's so much more. I don't know. Gonzo is the only real word that comes to mind here. If anybody else has another more apt word, certainly feel free to suggest it. So in terms of how this influenced Wandering Heroes of Ogregate, there's a key thing that we nodded to, which is I mentioned the Green Corpse. We have a character named the Green Guardian, and he's evolved a lot since I started him, because the Green Corpse is like just a guy in a suit, literally like a leotard type suit, and there's really no attempt to make him look like anything more than that. And in my campaigns, that's what I was actually always picturing with the Green Guardian, but just by necessity, I had to make him more plausible. So. But that's where he kind of comes from. That was the original idea that sort of brought that to me. And again, there's all kinds of wonderful things though. There's they have these great water spirits in there, and again the effects are they're limited in what they can do, but they're so enthusiastic about it that it still works. And so I definitely suggest checking this one out. There is the caveat that it's not for everybody. It's and also there's some really funny, humorous scenes in this one, with a lot of fun innuendo. So it's I mean, it's not like this is something that you couldn't show a wide age range of people. It's certainly something that you could watch with your kids, I think. But there is one scene where Monster Yu and Grandmaster Jing, who belongs to a sect where they're supposed to be chaste and pure, they have to combine their internal energy in order to face the threat of the Phantom and the Holy Flame Sword. So they put themselves into like two separate vats, and they're just sort of combining their chi energy. But you can see that there's like a vaguely, suggestion of some sexual tension there. But it's done in a funny way and in a charming way. It's not like it's not pornographic or anything like that, in my opinion. And I'd say the whole movie is, I would say, charming and gonzo. That's how I would describe this movie. And again, don't underestimate the fight choreography in this one. It's it is still early '80s choreography, so it might not be what you if you've been mainly watching recent stuff, it might not be what you're used to. But I thought it was great. I thought the fight choreography in this one really nailed it, and I think it's helped a lot by the style of filming. So I'll leave it at that. I will try to put more information in the notes here for people. And again, just so you know what the movie is, it's Holy Flame of the Martial World. It's a Shaw Brothers movie, 1983, and it's absolutely worth checking out. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.